had been a 45-minute drive from Zagreb. We arrived on the outskirts of Karlovac, a small city of 50,000. Like so many municipalities in Croatia, it was hundreds of years old, dating back to 1579. What passed for normalcy was now fading behind us. At first, the city appeared to have escaped most of the fighting. There was little evidence of damage. The architecture appeared untouched. Then we headed south. It didn't take long to witness the damage done less than a year ago. Shelling had devastated the neighborhoods in the southern portion of the city. The white mine tape along the edge of the road was a subtle warning of the potential dangers that lay just beyond, mines and unexploded ordnance. None of it mapped out quite yet. It was still too soon.
Tape here is indicating presumably that the areas are still mined. That was the camp there.
Amazingly, a few families were rebuilding. The resilience of humans is truly remarkable. We stopped briefly for a short break. Nearby what had been the Cordon Trading Company warehouse stood damaged, but likely repairable. The entire region was a no-fly zone. Only NATO aircraft could transit the airspace. There was seemingly no end to the devastation. Even rural homes far up hillsides were targeted. Despite that, the countryside was beautiful. Rolling hills and small farms. This could have easily been a Sunday drive between Fredericton and the Miramichi, or perhaps the Slocan Valley in the interior of BC, save the mine tape and war-damaged homes. So surreal. Less than 10 months removed, this had been the scene of some of the worst fighting on European soil since 1945. Wholesale targeting of civilian homes, to what end? Ethnic cleansing was part of the dynamics. That I would begin to learn. It was a truly ugly form of hatred, pitting fellow Yugoslavians against each other by the words of their political leaders. Military losses were around 700 Croat and Serb soldiers. Civilian casualties numbered in excess of 1,200 lives, both Croat and Serb, with some 250,000 refugees resulting. Not to be forgotten were 4 UN peacekeepers killed. The damage would clearly take many years to repair. Neighbors were now enemies, run out of their homes and villages. We slowed as we approached the Croatian-Bosnian border, but we didn't stop. Without fanfare, we drove through. A rudimentary crossing at best. A couple of sea containers, a few hundred meters apart, now serve the nascent governments of these two separate countries.
Bosnia proper now.
I could imagine that in more peaceful times, this had been a thriving agricultural region that the citizens were proud of. We arrived at VK, Velika Kladuša, a former factory and now home to the support element of the Canadian mission. Soldiers primarily from 2 service battalion occupied the industrial plant. Sand-filled HESCO barriers offered safer defensive positions. This recent British invention was proving to be an effective solution on Canadian camps in the region over the last few years.
This is our compound for transport.
Oh yeah.
All our vehicles parked there.
Yeah, this is the main supply.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say it's the biggest camp. I think if I had a choice, I'd need to stay here because well, with the building and the kitchen being there, I think it's much easier. You'll see inclusions, everything is in modular tent.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. A little cool in the winter. Yeah, it's all fuel here.
Yeah.
Here, among the many diverse tasks and responsibilities in support of the mission, soldiers with 2 Service Battalion performed maintenance on the many Canadian vehicles being used in the AOR, or Area of Responsibility.
Last year we had them filming.
It was a brief stop as we were now heading down to Coralichi before the end of the day. Among the NGOs operating in the region to assist people getting back their lives and dignity were the International Red Cross from Switzerland. They never seemed to shy away from tough jobs in high-risk regions. Their vehicles, simply white with the Red Cross, were instantly recognizable worldwide. Mid-afternoon, we arrived in Coralichi to drop off our gear. This would be our temporary home for just a few days. I was only starting to take in the visuals of what I'd seen so far today. Comprehending it all would take much longer.